Hello Leopards! Today's book is called 7 Sillies by Joyce Dunbar and Chris Downing. It's a funny book. There's a pig in the pond, said Pig. Such a handsome pig. And Pig called over to Sheep. There's Sheep. What do you see in the pond? Asked Pig. I see a pig and a sheep, answered Sheep. Such a beautiful sheep. And Sheep called over to Goat. What do you think Goat is going to see in the pond?
A goat, a sheep and a pig.
What do you see in the pond? Asked Sheep. I see a pig and a sheep and a goat. Well done, Josephine. Such a gorgeous goat. And Goat called over to Rabbit. They all think very much of themselves, don't they? What do you see in the pond? Asked Goat. I see a pig and a sheep and a goat and a rabbit, said Rabbit. Such a splendid rabbit. And Rabbit called over to Hen. Yeah, they do think a lot of themselves, hey? What do you see in the pond? Asked Rabbit. I see a pig and a sheep and a goat and a rabbit. And a hen, said Hen. Such a fine feathered hen. And Hen called over to Mouse. What do you see in the pond? Asked Hen. I see a pig and a sheep and a goat and a rabbit and a hen and a mouse, said Mouse. Such a dear little mouse. And Mouse called over to Frog. What do you see in the pond? Asked Mouse. I see 7 sillies, answered Frog. 7 sillies? Asked the pig and the sheep and the goat and the rabbit and the hen and the mouse. What do you mean?
Where's the frog?
There he is. He's small. He's on one of the lily pads.
But how does he see himself in the water?
He didn't see himself. He said he can see 7 sillies.
What sillies?
Sillies. What does it mean if you're silly?
Oh.
No, I'm being silly. Do you want to be silly?
Yep.
I'm glad you can't see Josie's face. Josie is silly because she's not wearing any warm clothes and she's wearing sandals and it's winter. So for me, that's silly. Okay, let's get back to this story. So, what did the other animals see when they looked at their reflections in the water? They saw themselves, right? And each time, each animal praised himself so much. They didn't praise each other. They only cared about their own looks each time. But did the frog do the same as the other animals? No, the frog answered he can see 7 sillies. They are all in the pond and they want to get out, said Frog. How can we get them out?
Mommy?
You will have to jump in and fetch them, answered Frog.
Mommy?
Are
Did the frog see the sillies? What are the animals?
Yes, yes. He's talking about them. So did you hear what happened? Listen again, guys. There, look where the animals are standing. Are they in or out the water?
Out.
Out the water. And the frog said he can see 7 sillies. Now listen what the frog says. Listen again. The sillies are all in the pond and they want to get out, said Frog. How can we get them out? You will have to jump in and fetch them, answered Frog. Now what do those animals do? So the pig and the sheep and the goat and the rabbit and the hen and the mouse all jumped into the water with a splash. Hey, how silly can they be? Were they really in the water?
No.
No! They jumped in after their reflections. There is nothing in the pond after all, they said. Oh, yes, there is, laughed Frog. There is a handsome pig, a beautiful sheep, a gorgeous goat, a splendid rabbit, a fine feathered hen, a dear little mouse, and that makes 7 sillies. I love this story. The animals scrambled out of the pond, all sopping wet and dripping with water. They did feel very silly. How many sillies? Asked Pig. 7, answered Frog. Are you sure? Asked Pig. Pig began to count. The animals joined in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The only one left was Frog. Aha, they laughed. 7 sillies. We see a frog that can't count, they said. Such a foolish frog. He was also caught out. Hey? I hope you enjoyed the book too. Go and be silly. Bye.